Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera and salam Malaysia Madani. Breaking news. Now, a United Nations conference is going on between several countries including Myanmar, Vietnam, Malaysia, and Indonesia. It has been informed that the United Nations conference held is to discuss about neorealism. So with me is reporter Siti NURUMAIRAH, who broadcasts live at the United Nations conference. Welcome.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Siti NURUMAIRAH, BINTI ASMAWIRA, reporting to you live from United Nations Conference on Neorealism. It's been a day on important discussion and diplomatic gathering, and we are here to bring you the latest update from this global gathering.
Hello and very good morning to everyone. Thank you for attending to this conference. Today's issue is about neorealism. Neorealism, often linked to the American political scientist Kenneth Walls, aimed to reframe classical realist principle using the tools and terminology of contemporary social science. According to Walls' theory of international politics, he contended that the fundamental aspect of international relations, particularly the behavior of the major nation, could be comprehensively understood through the lens of anarchic setup of the global system. Neorealism, sometimes labeled as structural realism, is occasionally denoted as realist by certain prominence, highlighting the connection between the contemporary perspective and earlier ideology. Its central premise asserts that the likelihood of war exists. I call on the representative of Myanmar for the first discussion.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished colleague, it's honored to be here today to discuss the fundamental concept of neorealism in international relations. I'll be addressing two critical elements that shape this school of thought: the anarchic nature of this international system and the self-centered behavior of a state. Before we get into the specific, let's briefly recap what neorealism entails. Neorealism, also known as structural realism, is a framework in international relations that places a strong emphasis on inherent characteristics of the international system. At its core, it's focused on how states interact in a world without a central authority. Neorealism highlights the anarchic nature of the international system. Anarchy in this context doesn't mean chaos, but rather the absence of higher authority that can enforce rules and norms. This anarchy has several important implications. Please note that with an anarchic system, states are compelled to engage in self-help. There is no higher authority to ensure their security and survival. Consequently, states invest in military capabilities and form alliance to safeguard their interests. The absence of central authority leads to decentralized decision-making. States act independently, guided by their national interests and their perception of the international environment. This often results in competition and potential conflict. Now, let's shift our focus to the self-centered nature of neorealism. This means that states prioritize their own interests above all else, guided by the rational assumptions. Neorealism argues that states are primarily motivated by the pursuit of power and security. They aim to maximize their relative power compared to the other states. Within this self-centered view, international interactions are often seen as zero-sum scheme. One state gains is viewed as another state loses, which then can lead to the competitions and conflicts over resources, influence, and security. Neorealism mostly focuses on the state as the primary unit of analysis in international relations. In some of the cases, state actions are justified in terms of national interest and power consideration. This is because states are concerned with ensuring that their gains are greater than those of their potential rival. This emphasis on relative gain often distinguishes neorealism from other theories which may focus on absolute gains or overall well-being. We can also conclude that neorealism aligns with realpolitik approach. as realpolitik characterize pragmatic, self-interested behavior over consideration of morality, ethics, or value. In summary, neorealism portray of international system as anarchic and self-centered actor. It also offers a framework for understanding how states interact in competitive and sometimes a conflict-prone environment. Hence, I think it's essential to keep this concept in mind when analyzing international relations. Thank you for your attention. I hope my colleagues have more to add on this significant and enlightening topic.
Well, that's true, Myanmar. But there are also another significance of neorealism theory, that is balance of power and security dilemma. So firstly, for balance of power, these are applied in the foreign policy of a country. So as according to Kenneth, neorealism theory can be seen where governments seek to develop and maintain a balance of power in the international system so that no single state can dominate others. So this equilibrium is sought through a variety of tactics, including formation of alliance, the expansion of military capabilities, and the implementation of diplomatic strategies. So in simple words, according to the balance of power theory, nations are largely motivated by a desire to offset the power and influence of possible rivals in order to ensure their own security and existence. The assumption is that a stable international system has power dispersed fairly and evenly, preventing any particular state from becoming overly dominating. So this nation emphasize the inherent rivalry and competitiveness among states in the search of more secure and stable world order. The example that we can see is from after the Napoleonic Wars, European powers established the Concert of Europe, a system aimed at maintaining a balance of power and preventing any single state from dominating the continent. So the Concert of Europe include major power like Austria, Britain, Russia, Prussia, and France. So this power held periodic conference to address issues and dispute, and they intervene in conflict to ensure that no one state can become too powerful. So the system aimed to maintain stability and prevent another continental war like Napoleonic Wars. Besides, for the second one, security dilemma, a basic idea in neorealism describes the difficult situation that nations face in pursuing their own security. So state may perceive the defensive measure taken by other states as potential threats to their security. For instance, if one increases its military presence near its border to deter potential aggression, another state may interpret this action as a threat to their own security. In simple words, when one state adopts security measures, such as increasing military capabilities or forming alliance, it may unwittingly cause anxiety and insecurity in neighboring states. So this self-defense action may be seen as potential threat by others. So as a result, the first state step to strengthen its own security may instead increase instability and conflict in international system as other governments respond defensively in reaction. Thus, security dilemma has several significant implications in neorealism, such as arms races. So here, arms races is when states fearing the intention of others may engage in arms races, continuously building up their military capabilities. This can divert resources from other important areas and lead to heightened tension. Second one is alliance. States form alliance to increase their security, but this alliance can be viewed as threat by others, potentially drawing additional states into the security dilemma. Therefore, according to neorealism, this dynamic of mutual suspicion and arms races is a crucial driver of international politics. The example of security dilemma is during the Cold War, the United States and the Soviet Union were engaged in security dilemma. Each superpower sought to protect itself from the perceived threat of others. So when the US developed nuclear weapons and established military alliances such as NATO, while the Soviet Union did the same by creating the Warsaw Pact and expanding its sphere of influence in Eastern Europe. This action, taken in the name of self-defense, was seen as provocative by other side, leading to an arms race and constant tension between the two superpowers.
Great! Okay, Ms. HAZIQAH, can you tell us based on the analysis theory of neorealism, which have the positive and negative side of this theory.
I would like to exercise of reply to what representative of nation have said. So basically, the preference for offensive neorealism or defensive neorealism depends on one's perspective and the specific context. Offensive neorealism, associated with scholars like John Mearsheimer, emphasize the competitive nature of states and the pursuit of power. Defensive neorealism, on the other hand, focus on security and maintaining the status quo.
The representative of Indonesia, please explain more on your statement.
Thank you, Ms. President, for giving me the opportunity to explain more about neorealism. So, what is offensive neorealism? In offensive neorealism, states are seen as inherently power-seeking and aim to maximize their relative power compared to other states. This perspective suggests that states will pursue aggressive action when they believe it is in their best interest to do so, such as expanding their territory or influence. There is one theory called as Mearsheimer's theory. This theory contends that even in a system with defensive intentions, the inherent uncertainty about other states' intentions can lead to security dilemmas and the risk of unintended conflict. Therefore, offensive neorealism emphasizes the importance of relative power and a balance of power to maintain stability in the international system. It's important to note that this is a theoretical framework in the field of international relations and doesn't advocate for offensive action in practice. Instead, it seeks to explain state behavior based on certain assumptions about their pursuit of power and security. In terms of power maximization, states are driven by a relentless pursuit of power and influence, and they aim to dominate the international system. This means that they may engage in aggressive behavior to achieve their goal. Next is defensive neorealism, which is a theory within international relations that assert states primarily act defensively to safeguard their security and survival. It provides insight into how states navigate the complexities of the international system by forming alliances, balancing against potential threats, and pursuing policies aimed at ensuring their own safety. Defensive neorealism focuses specifically on the idea that states primarily seek to ensure their own security and survival in the anarchic international system. So, I will share to all of you some key points of defensive neorealism. In terms of security maximization, states are primarily concerned with ensuring their security and survival, rather than seeking aggressive expansion. They tend to adopt defensive posture to minimize threats. Next, defensive neorealism posits that states will form alliances and engage in balancing behavior to counter the power of potential aggressors. This can involve building military capabilities or seeking partnership with like-minded states. Unlike offensive neorealism, which emphasizes relative gains in power, defensive neorealism focuses on absolute gains in security. States are more concerned with their own security rather than achieving dominance over others. So, in my opinion, defensive neorealism is positive while offensive neorealism is negative, as defensive neorealism didn't use aggressive behavior to achieve their goals. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. HAZIQAH, for a thoughtful speech. Based on Ms. HAZIQAH's explanation, I believe there are several impact causes from neorealism. First and foremost, the impact of neorealism is on historical analysis within the field of international relations is substantial. Neorealism provides a better framework for understanding and interpreting historical events and behavior of the states throughout history. Neorealism has been used to analyze historical events such as colonialism and imperialism, examining how great power pursue expansion and dominate to enhance their relation power within the international system. The concept of neorealism continues such as great power relation, region conflict, and global power transfer. Overall, neorealism provides historians and scholars with a theoretical framework for understanding and behavior of nations in the international system across the time. Emphasizing on structure, variable, and self-held nature of state, neorealism contributes to fuller and more complex historical analysis by aiding to understand an underlying reason and dynamic of historical event and international conflict. Next, in terms of arms race, the key feature of the arms race is the competitive nature of military build-up. Each country involved to aim to outperform or at least match its rival military capability. Arms race necessitates substantial financial and material resources. Government devoted significant charge of their budget to defense spending in order to fund an acquisition and development of military technology force. Other than that, nuclear weapons. With nuclear weapons are incredibly powerful, they are primarily viewed as defensive tools and are rarely evaluated for actual use. The concept stems for the principle of deterrence in the international relation. Essentially, possessing a weapon capable of causing massive destruction deter opponent for initiating an attack as the risks are too high. This is why states often move their nuclear arsenal around the world. Notable arms race in historical including the Cold War, where the neorealism insight into the bipolar power structure explain the dynamic of the rivalry between the United States and Soviet Union. Overall, neorealism acute historical and scholar with a theoretical framework that aids in the making sense of the behavior of state in the international system across their historical area. By focusing on structural factor and self-held nature of state, neorealism contribute to the richer and more historical analysis of to the motivation and dynamic behind the international power. Lastly, rationality and self-interest. Neorealism assumes that states have rationally in order to maximize their self-interest in a competitive setting. What does it mean? This viewpoint has affected how policymakers analyze evaluated state activity and choices. This focus on the power and state behavior in realism has been effective in forecasting and understanding international events such as conflict, and power change. Power. Yes, power play important part in the country as every country wants the powerful country and greatest position with the authority to govern and rules. As mentioned earlier, every country has the concept of their own self-interest. This is significant to international relation theory. It's implied that every country pursues policy and activity that are ultimately on their best interest. The self-interest is frequently motivated by a desire to improve security, economic success, political power, and other institution objectives. For some countries, for example, try to defend their territorial integrity and safeguard their citizens. They frequently pursue military and measures and align to deter future threats. Furthermore, while self-interest is a major motivator in international relations, this does not imply that countries will act in a fully self-serving manner.
Besides, the impact toward international relations is predictive value, which means neorealism predict that the great power will play a crucial role in shaping the international system. This power will seek to maintain their dominance or alter the structure of the system in their favor, often through various means such as military, economic, and diplomatic strategy. According to neorealism, great power will seek to maintain their dominant position or change the structure of the international system to their advantage. They do this through various means, including military, economic, and diplomatic strategies. This power often engage in behavior aimed of balancing or countering the power of rival states to ensure their own security and influence. Military strategies involve the build-up of military capacity, forming silence and sometimes engaging in conflict to secure their interests. Economic strategies may include the use of economic power to gain advantage in trade, selection, or influence over global financial institutions. Diplomatic strategies encompasses negotiation, treats and other forms of international engagement to enhance their own interests while ensuring their security. Overall, neorealism emphasized the role of power and the distribution of power in shaping international relations. It highlights the competitive nature of international politics, where states, especially great power, consistently aim to secure their position and protect their interests within the anarchic global system. In conclusion, the neorealism theory in international relations has significantly contributed to the understanding of the complexity and dynamic of global politics, which is emphasized on the anarchic nature of the international system and the primacy of state pursuit of power and security. Neorealism has underscored the fundamental challenges and constraints that shape international interaction. Overall, the neorealism theory continues to serve as a foundational framework for understanding the dynamic of international relations, highlighting the enduring significance of power, security, and the balance of power in shaping the behavior in states in the global arena. While promoting critical debates and discussion, neorealism remains a crucial tool for policymakers as scholars seeking to comprehend and navigate the complexity of the ever-evolving global political landscape. That's all for our conference today.